Hello everyone. This video we are going to continue summary of anime called Overlord Season 3, that continue from Season 2 where Momon, Nabe, and Evil Eye encounter Jaldabaoth and his 5 masked demon maids, while the female adventurers versus the maids, Momon versus Jaldabaoth. It's all Demiurge's full plan to put the blame on Jaldabaoth in order to boost Momon's fame. In the Baharuth Empire, Fluter Paradine and Emperor Jerkniv Rune Farlord Elnik talking about Ains Ul Gaun, who knows as the Great Magic Caster. And Jerkniv orders Fluter to investigate both Adamantite adventurer Momon and Ains, and move to the Season 3 start from. Following the events in Ray Estais, Ains has some of the floor guardians take a day off. Albedo, Shaltir, and Aura spend time by the 6th floor lake where Albedo learns she cannot ride her bicorn mount Summon due to her being a pure maiden, to the other two's shock. While Ains sends a memo to the male floor guardians to meet later for a bathhouse gathering for relaxation. Later on, as Ains is in his personal quarters practicing his Overlord posturing, he exits to meet with Mare and Albedo, but after a heartfelt admission of joy over having them in his life, Albedo succumbs to her lust and tries to rape Ains in his office. It is with the total efforts of the guards and Mare that Albedo was removed. In the evening, the men are relaxing in the spa house, but hearing Albedo blatantly try to climb the wall, when a defense golem programmed by Lucifer attacks them for lacking bathing manners. Ains orders the male floor guardians to help the ladies, internally hoping next time they will have more time to relax. Ains brings together the NPCs to review the grand plan overall with Demiurge recounting, when really he just wants to learn the demon's thought process. It is revealed that all the NPCs are planning world domination, with Ains completely oblivious. As Demiurge states, this was Ains's goal, ascertained by his actions, starting with Carne Village being subjugated with no casualties and having the residences living peacefully. Thus, it meant Ains wanted world domination, and experimenting on ruling his subject. Meanwhile at Carne Village, Furia is spending entire nights developing a potion for Ains, while Henry is caring for the goblin troop as they teach and protect the village. Henry has even given names to each goblin. The only new resident to the village was Britta, who quit as an adventurer after surviving her encounter with Shaltir. After running low on medicinal herbs, Henry, Furia, and 3 goblins search the forest for said herb. Finding a growing patch, they see a wounded hobgoblin child being hunted by a bar guest, so the goblins supported by Enfaria kill the dark beast, saving the child. Furia uses the experimental purple potion to fully heal Agu, the boy hobgoblin. Agu explains that he was attacked by minions of the Giant of the East, who himself has allied with the demon snake of the West. This shifts the balance of power in the forest, threatening the village. Henry, Furia, and the goblin troop bring Agu to Carne Village to inform them of the situation in the Great Forest. Taking into account a possible threat, Britta goes to inform the Vigilante Committee to ready evacuation procedures, while Furia asks Lupus Regina to deliver a purple potion to Ains with a progress report. While Lupus nominates to ask Ains for aid, Henry believes they should do their own efforts first. At night, the goblin troop find the rest of Agu's tribe and group of ogres. One goblin, Jugum, instructs Henry to act as alpha to make them submissive, which works and they swear loyalty. As the survivors need medical treatment, Furia must stay up all night while Henry goes to Irantel in the morning. Arriving at the main gate, her goblin General Horn is detected and is about to be put in custody, until Momon arrives to vouch for her and she is released. As Henry goes about her day, Momon covertly allows her to ask the Adventurers Guild for aid with the trouble in the forest. After a hectic day, Henry meets her goblin troop and offer new weapons out of thanks for all they have done for the village, with the troop in a state of intense gratitude. Upon return, Henry is voted as new village chief, but is taken aback by this and consults Lupus Regina and Furia. After a self-reflective talk with Furia, Henry decides to accept the position. Over the village high above, Lupus Regina is met by Yuri Alpha for a summons by Ains. When asked why she's smiling, Lupus Regina answers that the village dynamic has shifted and she would love to see the faces of the residents if the whole village were to burn down, hoping to see the village destroyed. Ains reprimands Lupus Regina for her failure to report on Carne Village. Lupus Regina states that she did not think it was important, but Ains informs her of Furia's value and orders her to protect him, Henry, and Lizzie above all else. Afterward, Ains and Aura goes to find the Giant of the East and Demon Snake of the West to see what sort of monsters they are. They discover the giant is a large troll named Goo and the demon snake is a naga named Ryrarius. Ains offers them to submit or die. Ryrarius quickly complies after failing to escape, however. Goo refuses and the two duel. Goo's attacks prove ineffective and Ains neutralizes him and the remaining trolls and ogres. Afterward, Ains has Demiurge review the menu for a dinner Ains is planning when Ains is informed that the village is under attack and gives Lupus Regina permission to engage. Goo's forces begin their attack on Carne Village, while the Goblin Troop, allied ogres, and the Vigilante Committee prepare to defend the village. The remaining villagers take shelter. As the battle begins at the front gate, Henry and Furia search the village to ensure everyone is safe when they see a troll climbing over the rear gate. To prevent the troll from finding the hidden villagers, the two distract it by disguising their odor. However, the troll catches on and Furia tells Henry to run for help and confesses his love to her. Furia continues to fight the troll while Henry gets backup. However, he is overwhelmed by the troll's strength. Just before the troll is about to kill him, Lupus Regina appears and kills the troll. The battle at the gate also ends successfully and Lupus Regina informs Furia and Henry of Ains's invitation to a dinner at Nazarick. Royal Mage, Fluter Paradine is told that the Adamantite adventurers from Darkness wish to meet him. Meanwhile, the worker group, Foresight, prepares to take on a mission exploring an undiscovered tomb within the borders of the Re-Estais kingdom. The mission appears to be well-paying albeit dangerous, but they have accepted it since one of their members, Mage Archie, needs money to take her little sisters and escape her heavily in-debt parents who refuse to cut back on their spending. They meet up with three other worker groups, Green Lead, Heavy Masher and Tenmu. They have all been hired by a noble of the Baharuth kingdom, who has also hired Momin and Nabe as extra protection. The workers arrive at Nazarick and briefly explore the outside and discover immense riches. They all decide to move deeper inside, except for Greenleaf, who decides to stay outside as a guard and look for other routes inside, while also secretly using the other groups as canaries. Inside Nazarick, the groups are quickly separated in their eagerness to find more treasure. Outside, Greenleaf encounters the Pleiades, who summon a series of powerful undead warriors called Nazarick Old Guarders, who make quick work of the worker group, slaughtering all of them. Heavy Masher is chased by a number of Elder Liches briefly, before the members are teleported to two places. Some are transported to the Black Capsule, where they are fed to cockroaches, the family of Area Guardian, Kyohuko. One other member is teleported to the torture chamber and is tortured by Neuronist Painkill, presumably to death. Tenmu encounters Hamsuke, who is training to become a warrior. After a brief fight, the leader of Tenmu, Area Uzruth, is killed easily after Hamsuke activates the martial art Slashing Strike and beheads him. His elf slaves are left alone, after they start to kick his body, leaving Hamsuke uncertain as to what to do with them. Foresight is teleported to the 6th floor arena, where they are introduced as invaders and will be facing Ains himself. Foresight tries to apologize to Ains for trespassing into Nazarick, but Ains rebuffs their words, refusing to listen to their excuses and declaring them to be worse than maggots for daring to enter Nazarick as thieves, without permission. The leader of Foresight, Hecarim, tries to bluff and say they received permission from a large monster, but Ains sees through the lie, which enrages him further. He initially attacks them with a sword and shield, but while he overwhelms them in strength, their own skill, experience and ability to work as a team, allow them to remain relatively unharmed. Ains decides he has played enough and reveals himself as a magic caster. Archie initially denies his claim until Ains shows off his true power, which he had concealed during the physical battle. The impact from this reveal shocks Archie to the point where she vomits in sheer terror, and Foresight once more attempts to fight back, but fails miserably, with Hecarim ending up paralyzed. Roberdick and Amina tell Archie to flee after Hecarim falls, in order to go back to her sisters. Once she runs away, they beg Ains to grant her mercy, and he accepts, but only by telling Shaltir to show Archie the depths of despair and then to kill her painlessly. He then beats Roberdick and Amina easily. He keeps Roberdick for mental experiments, while Amina and Hecarim are given to Gashokukocho, a parasitic NPC. Archie attempts to run away from Shaltir, and fails when she discovers that she is actually underground and there is no way out. After which Shaltir reveals her true form and kills her. Mara and Aura later travel to the Baharuth Empire, where they confront Emperor Jerkniv for sending the workers into the tomb and demand that he atone for this crime. Emperor Jerkniv travels to Nazarick to apologize for the invasion of Nazarick, and is immediately given a show of Nazarick's power when they use Tier 6 magic easily, and use Death Knights, monsters capable of slaughtering armies for menial tasks like setting tables. Ains further shows off his power when he is given the head of the noble who was responsible for sending workers to Nazarick, albeit secretly on Jerkniv's orders, and turns it into a Death Knight. Ains reveals his intention to crush anyone who would dare go against him, and restore peace to his surroundings, and Jerkniv extends an offer of friendship to protect the Baharuth Empire, while suggesting that Nazarick establish a proper kingdom, but secretly intends to set up an alliance behind his back in order to defeat him. However, Demiurge has already figured out the Emperor's plan, and reveals it to Ains and the other NPCs later. Jerkniv realizes that Fluter Paradine has actually been working with Ains the entire time, and has betrayed him. This is confirmed in a flashback, where Ains has revealed his true power to Fluter, who in turn pledges his undying loyalty to Ains, in exchange for giving Fluter the opportunity to peer into the abyss of magic. Ains establishes the Sorceress Kingdom of Nazarick, and demands that the Re-Estais Kingdom withdraw from all lands around Irantel, claiming they belong to the Sorceress Kingdom, and the Baharuth Empire backs them. Gazif requests the king to do as Ains asks, claiming fighting Ains would be a terrible idea. But the king refuses, as doing so would be a sign of weakness, and he cannot afford to show weakness when the royal faction in Re-Estais has begun to grow in strength after the Jaldabath incident. Marquis Raven agrees with this path, and is set up as commander for the war. Crown Prince Barbro is eager to prove himself and tries to join in, but instead is sent to Carne Village to question the villagers about Ains. Barbro decides to draft the villagers once he has questioned them in order to use them as hostages against Ains. Ains arrives at the Baharuth army camp before summoning his army of Death Knights. Barbro's army arrives at Carne Village, and Henry, the new chief, struggles to delay them as they hid the goblins and ogres. Barbro has a watchtower burnt down as a threat, but the action only reminds the villagers of the incident Ains saved them from, inspiring the villagers to take up arms against Barbro for Ains. Lupus Regina watches the incident unfold and is broadcasting it to Ains. Henry and Furia decide to lead the women and children out from the back, while the able-bodied men, goblins and ogres act as a distractions from the front. The strategy seems to work, but the soldiers present at the back notice the fleeing villagers, and in an attempt to delay them Henry blows on the second goblin horn Ains gave her, but somehow summons not a small group of mercenary-like goblins but an army of goblins 5,000 strong. Ains is surprised, but theorizes that the horn in fact hides a true power that no one has unlocked, and that Henry somehow managed to unlock these conditions. The goblin army proves to be more than a match for Barbro's conscripts and send them running, saving the village. Later, Barbro's army is surrounded by level 41 redcaps. and Lupus Regina, who reveals her intentions of massacring Barbro's remaining army and himself. Barbro attempts to bargain, pointing out that he is the crown prince, but Lupus Regina is unconcerned, pointing out that he is not necessary for Ain's plans. Jerkniv reveals to his advisors that he plans on having Ain's cast the first stone in the upcoming war, in order to truly gauge his strength and to reveal the threat he poses to the world, hoping to use that and have the Re-Estais kingdom realize the necessity of an alliance. The Baharuth Empire's 60,000-strong army consists of well-trained knights, while the kingdom's army is 240,000 strong, but consists mainly of average people, conscripts over trained soldiers. Gazef and Raven are at the front lines, and Gazef has been given the 4 treasures of the kingdom: adamantite armor, a magic sword called Razor Edge that can cut through anything, gauntlets of endurance that provide endless stamina, and the amulet of immortality that provides regeneration. Ain's approaches the front lines with his army of Death Knights, but proceeds to begin casting a super-tier spell. On realizing the danger Ain's poses, Raven and Gazef attempt to issue order to retreat, but fail to do so in time. The left flank of the kingdom's army, consisting of 70,000 men, charges as Ain's casts the spell, Ea Shub Nigarath, which slaughters the entire left flank and proceeds to sacrifice them to summon 5 massive monsters called the Dark Young, who he directs towards the kingdom's army to literally crush underfoot. Gazef attempts to fight back, but the Dark Young prove to be unstoppable, until Ain's walks onto the battlefield and approaches Gazef and asks him to become his subordinate in exchange for calling off the Dark Young. Gazef refuses even as Ain's tries to goad him, and just as Ain's is about to continue the massacre, Gazef challenges Ain's to duel. Gazef challenges Ain's, despite knowing that he has no chance of winning, and Ain's accepts the duel. Before fighting, Ain's examines Gazef's sword to reveal that he has unknown properties, and despite being imbued with lesser amounts of mana, it is able to harm and possibly kill Ain's. The duel begins. Climb is asked to be the starter of the duel and asks if he can use a magical bell. Ain's agrees. After ringing the bell, Ain's uses Time Stop spell to stop time. He kills Gazef instantly. He calls off the Dark Young, out of respect for Gazef, but warns Brain that if the kingdom refuses to surrender, then they will rampage through the capital. Jerkniv is informed about Ain's power, much to his horror. The king and nobles of the kingdom are terrified at the result, and have no choice but to give up Rantel, as per Ain's demands. Brain and Climb believe that Gazef's useless attempt to fight Ain's was a way to help them learn more about him, to set up their defenses, and Brain vows to become better than Gazef. Ain's arrives at Rantel in a large procession, but all the people hide inside out of fear. A child attempts to throw a rock at Ain's, but the sign of disrespect has Albedo attempt to execute him, until he is saved by Momin. Momin, played by Pandora's actor, is enlisted by Ain's to act as a city representative and law enforcer. This is revealed to be part of Demirugi's plan in order to find and kill any enemies, as the humans will rally under Momin, while Momin serves Ain's. The Guardians once more pledge their fidelity to Ain's as the Sorcerer King, and he declares it to be the founding of the Sorceress